Let's now take you live straight across to Dubai. Joining me from there is DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya covering the COP28 for us. Tapas, good morning to you from Delhi. Just tell us how's it lined up in terms of what the world leaders, including Prime Minister Modi, will be doing through the day today, starting with the summit, the Climate Action Summit. What can we expect from it?
He will be coming here in this particular place, and there will be a bilateral close to seven bilaterals, and there will be three main events that will take place on the sidelines of this particular COP28. And remember, as I mentioned earlier also, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is not just leading India, he's leading the global South, and he is the voice. He has actually become the voice of the global South in many respects, especially when it comes to climate finance and technology transfer. And I have with me Mr. Prashant, Choubey, who's the sir, what is your designation?
I work as a president with Avaada Group. We are one of the largest electron-to-molecule company from India.
Right. And Mr. Prashant Choubey is here because, we were talking about how renewable energy is the main focus in this COP28 and how climate finance is also going to be there. So, Mr. Choubey, tell us how this is going to be the major concern. $100 billion has been pledged. Now, this time, this has been, actualized. But is it enough?
See, loss and damage fund, which is in the form of $100 billion, that is not sufficient. Developing countries, they are actually on the path of their economic growth now. And there has to be a larger cooperation between global North and global South, as our Honorable Prime Minister has been emphasizing, and as it has been captured in our G20 declaration document also. And we are also proposing, Avaada Group has been a part of energy transition in India for a while. We have set up one of the largest solar plants in India. We are now setting up green ammonia and green hydrogen, one of the largest plants in Odisha state now. So we are a part of energy transition, and we believe that larger global North and global South collaboration and cooperation is required if we really want to mitigate the climate impact.
Right.
Yes.
So, Gautam, this is another point that, every country has the NDC target, the nationally determined contribution targets that have been done. And this COP28 is where the stock taking is going to take place. How much have the countries actually walked the talk when it comes to the NDCs? When it comes to India, India is actually what they have proposed in 2015. Twice they have revised that. They have actually gone more ambitious and set the more ambitious target, and last year also they have revised that. And something that we've been talking about, the renewable energy, and I will come to Prashant Choubey in a short while, but just to put it across, almost more than 500 gigawatt of energy India has pledged to start on more by 2030, which will be almost 50% of the current energy capacity, generating capacity of currently that India has. So India is keeping a very ambitious line, and it is actually following that. It's not that they are just saying things, but they are actually walking the talk and also making sure that they are giving voice to the global South. Just to put it in perspective, more than 700 million people in Africa still doesn't have access to electricity. Who's going to give them electricity? Who's going to provide them those impetus? Who's going to give the energy transition that people are talking about? Who's going to finance that? So all these things will be discussed in threadbare in this COP28, and it's going to be a very heated debate. Mr. Choubey, I want to ask you, it's important you talk about technology transfer. How important it is for your company as well as your segment? How important it is to have a technology transfer and putting across the finances?
It is very important now because India, as you rightly said, India has almost met its NDC commitment, and the Panchamrit doctrine, which our Honorable Prime Minister has put forth, it is actually a document or a holy Bible for India and for the world also as to how to scale up. Tripling renewable energy is very important here as a part of that. Now, what we are proposing that as a part of Article 6.2 of a Paris Agreement, there is a larger scope for a global cooperation. What we are saying is that we have already well past our NDC's commitment. We are setting up more renewable capacity now. Now, global North, they can shift capital, they can shift the technology to India and can take the ITMOs, which are internationally transfer mitigation outcome, and it is a win-win situation for both North and South. So that's a very important thing.
It is very important, Gautam, as I mentioned, that
Tapas, we're playing out the images of Prime Minister Modi when he had arrived, yesterday at the hotel where a lot of members of the Indian diaspora were also present there to greet him. And these are really very heartening images. It does not just show the kind of admiration they have for the PM, but it tells us the kind of strength that the Indian diaspora have in a destination such as Dubai, and the kind of contribution it is making there to the society, even in terms of combating climate change, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely, and I have you can't describe in words the images that when Prime Minister Modi came. It is his 6th visit to UAE since 2014, and since the time he assumed the office in 2014, we have seen the ties between India and UAE have gone from strength to strength. And I have with me Arun Sharma to talk about that, because Arun has been following Prime Minister Narendra Modi's bilateral, especially when it comes to UAE, quite closely. Arun, Prime Minister Modi's UAE visit is very important in many aspects. What are the major takeaways you think in this visit will be?
Well, the major takeaways, of course, is going to be the environmental aspect. Two keywords are going to buzz in this entire COP28 summit. Number one is democratization of the technology. Number two is climate financing. Because Prime Minister Modi has always been vocal about one point, that is to democratize technology, because technology is too costly. The more technology is not democratized, it becomes costlier. And today, developed economies or developed world are not democratizing the technology. And therefore, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been very vocal about that fact. Second, of course, the climate financing aspect. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is considered, and is been looked upon as a great link between the developed economies and the underdeveloped economies. And that's the key word. Why? Because in the G20 summit, we have seen it how Prime Minister Narendra Modi has, kept the views of the global south, the underdeveloped economies. And that's the reason these island nations, the underdeveloped economies, they're looking forward to, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, because he believes in one thing. Because at the national level, he says, "Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas," and the same thing is reciprocating or interpolating on the international or the multilateral platforms. And therefore, on one side, the developed economies are sort of shying away from coming forward as far as committing to the climate goals. So on the other side, the underdeveloped economies, the island nations, want that developed countries should come forward for climate financing, making technology democratized. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is that hope for this underdeveloped and developing economies going forward. So that's going to be the key word as far as this.
And also, the Indian diaspora was absolutely ecstatic yesterday.
Oh, absolutely. This has to happen. We have seen that wherever an Indian Prime Minister goes, he has got the great fan following. And people do admire him because the kind of reform that he has undertaken, specifically, when it comes to the G20 presidency, the way India is looked as, a leader on various issues and, on various aspects. And that's the reason people feel proud today. Because when they say that we are from Bharat, we are from India, they feel proud about it. And therefore, the man behind this, people are of course, going to love about that.
Bharat is leading, in that sense, Gautam. And I have Mr. Prashant. I want to ask him about this, the other aspect. We are talking about renewable energy and how UAE and India can work closely in collaboration. There will be a bilateral and also the India and UAE working closely in the renewable sector. UAE is one of the largest exporter of oil. How do you see these two countries, helping each other in technology transfer as well as learning from each other?
Oh, there has been a lot more scope for bilateral cooperation between UAE and India. Not only UAE and India, what our Prime Minister has said, that Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, that is now followed globally, one world, one family, one future, and that's very important. And not only this, our Prime Minister has proposed another dimension, which is one sun, one world, one grid, right? And that's very important, where time becomes the battery concept. So I think what he is doing, he is just not only creating a larger bridge between global north and global south, but he is creating and giving a message of a hope and inspiration to the rest of the world that yes, we can come. It's a time for us to get unite, act and deliver. So that is what the message is. Look at India, how we have done. He has set a target of bringing electrification of the household for 1,000 days. 26.7 million families, household, they got covered within 987 days. That is a kind of a thing. Look at LEDR program in India. So I think, and third important aspect has been renewable energy. India has done phenomenally well under a very dynamic and able leadership, which we are fortunate to have at this moment. And I think entire country is there in terms of proving to the global north that yes, we are capable to handle the climate change as the way we want.
So, Gautam, the world is looking up to India. and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and he is there to lead from the front in this COP28.
Yes, certainly, Tapas. And apart from what is happening all around COP28 and the PM's engagements, which also includes something related to India's Green Credit Initiative, where there would be, I think, an element of globalization to it as well. What are the other engagements that we're looking at for the Prime Minister? There will be bilateral ones too, including an important one with Israel's president as well, I believe.
Yes, absolutely. So there will be a bilateral with Israel is definitely will be high on the agenda, and something that both the countries are now looking forward to. And they will like to take this. Israel and India has a lot of background, and they have been talking. They have been collaborating in terms of technology and other aspects. And one believes that on the sidelines of this particular COP28, one believes that these two nations will again forge together a mutual interest beneficial to each other in this particular COP. Now, you mentioned the green, green initiative, green credit initiative. I have with me Arun to talk more about that. Already India has started. India's budget is already a green budget. They have already allocated more than 3,700 crore. And has notified, I think, last month by October, if I'm not wrong. And it's somewhere down the line, the Indian government has been working to make sure that the budgetary allocation or the development that takes place in India is keeping in line with the sustainable development model that Prime Minister has been talking about, the mission life that Prime Minister has spoke about. It is being followed, it has been put in action now, and that's something that the Indian government is doing, and they want to now take that to the international level. I have with me Arun to give you more perspective on that. Arun, green energy, green credit is something that a lot of people were talking about earlier, carbon credit. Are we now moving towards green credit in a different way where mission life is incorporated in that?
Absolutely. So incentivizing is the key word. Why would somebody adopt a technology? Just for an instance, let me give an example. In country like India, if you buy a petrol car, it costs you around 6 lakh to 6.5 lakh rupees. But if you buy a similar version of that petrol car, that costs you 12 lakh to 13 lakh rupees. Now a developing country like India, or a common man, let's talk from a common man's perspective. Why would that person be giving 13 lakh to 14 lakh just for climate perspective? Does he have any kind of incentive for that? No. So, but on the contrary, when we talk about developed economies, they can easily afford these 15 lakh rupees of electric car because the purchasing power parity in favor of those countries, the developed countries. So now for Indian Prime Minister, this is the key word, that you democratize technology so that it becomes cost effective. Second, you ensure that financing is available so that these green products becomes more and more cheaper or economical in nature. And that's what Prime Minister Modi is talking about as to.
Right. And in fact, Prime Minister Modi has arrived in COP28 as we speak. Gautam, you will find it in the visuals right now. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in COP28, and it's a huge moment because, as I